What if I told you that your suffering is not proof of your spirituality? What if the part of you that constantly overgives, overextends, and oversacrifices is not your highest self, but an unhealed wound? We are now in the month of Pisces, and Pisces is often associated with compassion, with creativity, with fantasy and dreams, but also associated with sacrifice and martyrdom. So today I want to talk about why the martyr archetype is actually the shadow of Pisces and how to rise into wholeness instead of drowning in self-abandonment. If you've ever felt responsible for everyone's happiness, if you struggle to say no, if you give and quietly feel resentful, then this may be for you. Let's begin by getting clear on the zodiac sign of Pisces, and why the month of Pisces, which is the Pisces month is known as Adar. Okay. The month of Pisces is the final breath of the astrological year. It's not the sign that begins something new. It gathers what has already been lived. So what Pisces does is it collects the emotional residue, the unfinished lessons, the prayers, the disappointments, and the quiet growth of the past 12 months, and it concentrates them. What has been scattered now becomes distilled. And so, from a Kabbalistic perspective, Pisces corresponds to Yesod on the tree of life, which is the sephira that gathers and channels the energy into form. Yesod is the bridge. But the image I want you to keep in mind while I'm describing or talking to you about what Pisces does is I want you to think of Pisces as a funnel. It receives from the higher realms and funnels that energy downward into the world of manifestation, which is Malchut, okay? The world of manifestation, the lived, the embodied. And if you imagine the year as a series of experiences, then Yesod is this vessel, this funnel that gathers them, refines them, and pours them into the ground of your becoming. So nothing is wasted. Pisces is not a passive sign. It's not passive, stagnant water. It's drifting. Okay, so it's not like just drifting around with no direction. It's drifting towards concentrated consciousness. And what you allow to settle in this month, resentment, fear, faith, wisdom, love, is what will quietly seed your next cycle. So hopefully you understand or have some understanding of just how important this month of Pisces is. Now, if you identify with the martyr archetype, and what do I mean by archetype? An archetype is an energetic pattern. And you identify with the martyr archetype if you are saying things like this to yourself. You may actually be saying it out loud. But to yourself, you may be saying, oh, if I suffer, then I am good. If I sacrifice, then I am worthy of whatever. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of attention. I'm worthy of this person. If I disappear, there will be peace, harmony, etc. Now, in psychology, what we call a martyr complex is a pattern of putting others first to your own detriment. We do this often unconsciously, and then we feel unseen and unappreciated. It looks generous on the outside, but inside, it's exhaustion, it's resentment, loneliness. And this is a topic very close to my heart because it's something that I had to deal with. I identified heavily with this archetype for many years, decades actually. So Let me give you two examples. Imagine that you are someone in a relationship who does everything for everyone else. But let's take, say you're in a relationship and you are the one, so you're married or you're in a long-term partnership. You are the one that remembers the birthdays and the important celebrations. You are the one who gets the presents, the gifts. You are the one who, books the events, makes the reservations to the restaurants. You are the one that regulates the emotional climate. You are the one that supports your partner. You do whatever you have to do to make sure that your partner's goals are reached. And you are the one that silences your own needs. So when you feel hurt, you don't say anything. When you need reassurance, you minimize your need for comfort or attention. And when you feel lonely, you just, you know, call it or think of it as something like, oh, well, this is just being spiritually patient. My soul is going to be elevated in the next life, or I'm going to reincarnate as a most fortunate person or something. So over time, your joy dims, your body collapses, your nervous system lives in quiet tension, and you confuse all this with compassion. You confuse self-abandonment with virtue. You think it's virtue. But the opposite of martyrdom, by the way, is not selfishness. It's expressing your needs. That is the opposite of martyrdom, is learning to express your needs. And here's another example. And this one is one that I work with a lot in my coaching practice because this is one that's really big. A spiritual practitioner who undercharges for her work. Now, the reasoning that you probably using in explaining or justifying why you are undercharging for your work sounds like this. I don't do this for money. I want my work to be accessible. I don't want to come across as greedy, or I don't want to seem greedy. Or to charge for this kind of work is bad, and I will be punished for charging for this kind of work. Now, this last one, I really, really know all about that because when I started out in my 20s, learning all these various modalities and practices, I started formally studying tarot and astrology in my 20s. This intensified in my 30s, then came Kabbalah. I cannot tell you how many teachers that I learned from, but also sought out, who had trouble receiving payment for their wisdom, for their healing, for their teachings. This is a very big one. There's guilt around being paid. And the unconscious belief here is that this holiness requires your depletion. It requires your diminishment. It requires your suffering. Now, this is what depth psychologists would call a symbolic distortion of value. Money becomes a mirror for how we value our own soul energy. So again, the thinking is, if I receive fully, like if I receive what I am truly worthy of, and worth, like this teaching, this wisdom that I'm passing on, this light that I'm sharing, if I receive fully for it, am I still good? So from a Jungian perspective, when we over-identify with suffering, we are possessed by an archetype, the martyr archetype, because the martyr secretly believes my suffering makes me special. My endurance makes me superior. My extreme patience, my endurance makes me superior to others. If I disappear into the background, if I diminish my light, then I will be redeemed in the afterlife. I will be rewarded in the afterlife. But unconscious suffering does not redeem. What it does in reality is it repeats. And again, going back to Pisces season, we are in the month of Pisces. Pisces amplifies what is unconscious. So if you carry resentment, your resentment is going to deepen. If you carry guilt, your guilt intensifies. But if you bring all this to awareness, then it transforms. So how do we rise above the martyr archetype? First step, awareness. Awareness before sacrifice. That's the first step. So before you say yes to anything, I want you to pause. Ask yourself, am I giving from this place of fullness or fear? Am I able to give here from a place of fullness? I'm feeling full and capable. Or are you doing it from a state of depletion or fear? Second thing I want you to do is I want you to start expressing your needs. You don't have to express your needs dramatically. You don't have to be aggressive about it. You simply have to be clear. Words like, I need support too. Practice that. Say it out loud now. I need support too. You're not the only one who needs support. I need support too. Next thing I want you to say out loud after me. I can't do that right now. I can't do that right now. This is how sovereignty looks, by the way. This is how sovereignty feels. Is when you refuse to give more than what you are capable of giving. Especially when you are coming from a place of depletion. Third thing I want you to do, I want you to start learning to receive. Receiving is a spiritual act. We've been taught, especially if you've been raised in a very religious house, you've been taught that giving is a spiritual act. And yes, to give is definitely a spiritual act, but so is receiving. We haven't been taught to receive. Receiving is a spiritual act. Let someone help you. Let yourself be fairly paid. Or paid fairly. Let yourself be paid. Let yourself rest. Let yourself be loved without feeling that you have to earn the love. Let yourself be loved. Fourth thing I want you to do, I want you to notice where this martyr energy lives in your body. It often feels like a tight jaw, a collapsed chest, or like a tight contracted belly. So identify where this martyr energy lives in your body. Place your hand there and just breathe. Pisces at its highest expression is not the martyr. It's actually the mystic. The mystic does not suffer to prove love. The mystic is an embodiment of love. Because compassion without boundaries leads to drowning. Compassion with awareness becomes healing. The shift is simple but profound. It's a shift from I will suffer for you to I will stand whole and sovereign beside you. This is where you come into divine joy, which is Piscean energy, by the way. This is where you find unconditional love and you experience spiritual maturity. If this resonates, if you recognize this pattern in your relationships, your work, your life, I do offer astrologically guided coaching where we explore these archetypes within your personal chart and your lived experience. You don't have to dissolve and disappear to be a spiritual person. You can be a sovereign and you can be compassionate at the same time. The link is below in my description, in the description box, if you'd like to explore working together. I want to offer a symbolic practice as well. This is very powerful. People underestimate the power of tarot, I think. Generally speaking, I think people underestimate the power of tarot and symbols. But anyway, I want to offer a symbolic practice here. There is a tarot card that captures this pattern perfectly. And it's in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. You can use other decks, but I recommend that you use this particular card, this symbol. It's the Eight of Cups, and the Eight of Cups is associated with the first decan of Pisces. And what do I mean by a decan? It's the first 10 well, every sign of the zodiac is divided into 3 degrees of 10 because each sign is 30 degrees. So the first 10 degrees of Pisces is governed by Saturn. And the tarot card that corresponds with that decan is the Eight of Cups. And in the image, you'll see that there's a figure that's walking away from 8 carefully stacked cups. And the cups are upright, nothing is broken, nothing is chaotic. And yet, something is missing. The figure turns, their back under a dark sky and walks toward the mountains. And this card is often, interpreted as walking away. You'll often hear people say, well, if this card comes up, you have to walk away from a situation. But psychologically, there is more to this. It's the moment when you realize I have given everything to this situation, this person, and I am still empty. The Eight of Cups is often called the card of martyrdom because it reflects a deep emotional disappointment. You did what was asked of you, you stayed loyal, you endured, you gave, you sacrificed, and something in you is saying, this is still not enough. Must I sacrifice more? Must I stay? Must I suffer more? That's the martyr archetype saying this, must I carry on suffering? Must I carry on giving? This is not the martyr walking away. This is the mystic. This is the positive side of this Piscean energy, the mystic that is walking away. This is the difference. The Eight of Cups And if you pull up this card, by the way, if you do daily readings for yourself, or it comes up, you see it coming up, if you're watching YouTube channels on, tarot readers on YouTube channels, and you see this card coming up for you, please know, take it as a good sign, because when this card comes up, it is an awakening. It's the moment you realize I cannot keep abandoning myself in the name of love. Okay, so Pisces is the final sign that gathers emotional residue. It is where you consciously leave what no longer feeds your soul. Again, this is spiritual maturation. I have a gift for you. I created a short guide, a Pisces guide. It's a 7 journal prompts and some somatic exercises, a very short guide. It's free. It's available on my website. There'll be a link to it in the description. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. If this helped you in any way, do leave a comment, do subscribe, like, and share with someone that you feel would benefit from my videos. And blessings to you this season. May you connect with divine joy, with compassion for yourself and others. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you.